United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us take the next few moments of silence to seek each other, to each seek in our town way, in our own way, whatever sources of inspiration will grant us the strength and power in our thoughts and decisions to be for the benefit of all the people at all times. Amen.
Amen. Ms. McCarthy, please call the roll.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Here.
Councilwoman Francois?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Here.
Mayor Kramer?
Here.
Councilman Onijaka?
Here.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Here.
Councilman Wright?
We are now to item number 5 on the agenda. Copies of the agenda are up near the clerk. We are at commendations and proclamations. The first will be by Dr. Karazi, Men's Health Month Proclamation.
You got a pen now. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, I have 2 proclamations, and both about men. So the first one is the men's health one, and the second one is going to be men's mental health.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so whereas June is the nationally recognized as Men's Health Month, dedicated to highlighting the awareness of preventable health problems and encouraging men and boys to seek regular medical advice and early treatment for disease and injury. Whereas men in the United States, on average, die nearly 5 years earlier than women, largely due to preventable conditions, and are less likely to visit a doctor, obtain health screening, or engage in preventive care. Whereas leading causes of death among men, including heart disease, cancer, stroke, and diabetes, are significantly more manageable when detected early through regular health screening and lifestyle choices. Whereas Franklin Township is home to a vibrant and diverse population of men and boys whose health and vitality are essential to the strength of our families, neighborhoods, and township. Whereas we recognize and appreciate the healthcare providers, community organizations, employers, and advocates who work tirelessly to improve men's health outcomes through education, access, and care, and whereas promoting healthy lifestyle and encouraging men to take an active role in their own health contributes directly to stronger families and a more resilient community. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that Mayor and Township Council of Franklin Township, Somerset County, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim June 2026 as Men's Health Month in Franklin Township, and call upon all residents, healthcare professionals, employers, and community organizations to promote awareness of men's health issues, encourage preventable care, and support the overall well-being of men and boys who call Franklin Township home. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Township of Franklin to be affixed this 9th day of June in the year of our Lord 2026. So, men, please have a regular checkup. And the good news is that we have a health center, Zoo Fall. They just opened their doors about a couple of weeks ago. So please visit them. If you don't have insurance or you have a lower income, they accommodate. So you can go there and get the checkup and any treatments that they offer. So please take care of yourself, ourselves, and also engage in regular exercises if you can. There are places you can go like YMCA. I am a member of YMCA Piscataway. It's only $50 a month for me and my wife. So please join them. They have swimming pools, they have gym, they have all kinds of stuff. And they also have a lot of people, they just come and sit down and enjoy some nice conversation. So please enjoy, and hopefully one day we're going to have Y in our township soon. That's the goal. All right, now coming back to the next proclamation. Mayor, go ahead.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Okay. So this one is about the mental health. And this one also is extremely important for men. As men, we usually shy, and we always think that there's a stigma attached if we tell that we are suffering from some sort of mental health issues. So June, again, is the month of recognizing the mental health issues. So I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas June is recognized nationally as Men's Mental Health Month, a time dedicated to raising awareness about the mental health challenges faced by men and boys throughout our communities. Whereas men are significantly less likely than women to seek mental health treatment, and suicide rates among men are alarmingly higher, with men accounting for approximately 80% of all suicide deaths in the United States. Whereas stigma, cultural norms, and social pressures often discourage men from discussing emotional struggles, seeking professional help, or acknowledging vulnerability, barriers that cost lives. Whereas mental health conditions, including depression, anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and substance use disorders, affect millions of men across New Jersey and the nation, impacting families, workplaces, and communities. Whereas Franklin Township is committed to fostering an environment where all residents, regardless of gender, feel safe, supported, and encouraged to prioritize their mental well-being, and whereas by increasing awareness, eliminating stigma, and expanding access to mental health resources, we can save lives and strengthen the fabric of our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Township Council of Franklin Township, Somerset, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim June 2026 as Men's Mental Health Month in Franklin Township, and urge all residents, organizations, healthcare providers, and community leaders to join in raising awareness, offering compassion, and supporting the men and boys in our lives in seeking the care they deserve. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the Township of Franklin to be affixed this 9th day of June in the year of our Lord 2026. Now, as I mentioned, Zoo Fall, they support the mental health also. So if you know anyone, please encourage them. And we also have a stigma-free committee in Franklin Township. I believe second Wednesday of, is it second Wednesday, Bob? Their meeting, stigma-free, is it second Wednesday? Second Wednesday of the month is held here. So please join them and share your experiences, or listen to the people that they had mental health problems. So take care of yourself. If there's anybody who is associated with mental health or men's health activities, I'll be happy to give this proclamation to you. Anybody? Okay. Then I'll keep it as advisory board member. Thank you so much.
The next item is 5C, Immigrant Heritage Month Proclamation by Councilwoman Udine.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas June is recognized nationally as Immigrant Heritage Month, a time to celebrate the countless contribution immigrants have made and continue to make to our nation, our state, and local communities. Whereas the United States was built by generations of immigrants who arrived seeking freedom, opportunity, and a better life for their families, bringing with them diverse cultures, languages, traditions, skills, and perspectives that have enriched every facet of American life. Whereas immigrants serve as educators, healthcare workers, small business owners, engineers, artists, military veterans, and community leaders who contribute immeasurably to the economic vitality and cultural richness of our township. Whereas Franklin Township is proud to be a welcoming community where residents of all national origins and backgrounds are valued, respected, and celebrated. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Township Council of Franklin Township, Somerset County, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim June 2026 as Immigrant Heritage Month in Franklin Township, and encourage all residents to learn about and celebrate the immigrant stories and cultures that have shaped our township, to honor the contributions of our immigrant neighbors, and to recommit ourselves to building a community rooted in welcome, respect, and shared purpose. In witness whereof I have here unto set my hand and cause the seal of Township of Franklin to be affixed this 9th day of June in the year of our Lord 2026. Thank you. Do I have anyone that would like to take this proclamation for Immigrant Heritage Month?
I'm an immigrant.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman.
Item number D, Juneteenth National Freedom Day Proclamation, Councilwoman Francois and Councilman Wright. No Councilman Wright.
Good evening, everyone. So you may hear a lot about Juneteenth, but you may not know what that symbolizes. So this is a proclamation to talk about Juneteenth. So Juneteenth became a U.S. federal holiday on June 17, 2021 by Joe Biden, President Joe Biden. He signed the National Independence Day Act on that particular day and signed it into law. And that was the first new federal holiday that was added since the Martin Luther King Day holiday, which was established back in 1983. The significance of Juneteenth is that there was a Emancipation Proclamation that was signed back in 1863 that freed the slaves. But because they didn't have cell phones back then, the slaves didn't know that they were free. So it actually took 2 years, as of June 19, 1865, for the word to get out, to let the slaves know that they had been freed. So this proclamation reads, whereas June 19, 1865, known as Juneteenth, made the day the Union soldiers arrived in Galveston, Texas, and announced the end of the Civil War and the emancipation of enslaved Americans, African Americans, more than 2 months after the Confederacy surrender. Whereas Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the end of slavery in the United States and was designated, as I said before, as a federal public holiday in 2021, recognizing the profound historical significance of this date to African Americans and to all Americans. Whereas the freedom proclaimed on Juneteenth did not arrive, as promised, by the Emancipation Proclamation, and its delay stands as a reminder that the work of ensuring liberty, justice, and equality for all people remains an ongoing obligation. Whereas Juneteenth is a day of reflection, celebration, and rededication, honoring the resilience, strength, and enduring contributions of African Americans to the culture, history, economy, and democracy of the United States. Whereas Franklin Township is enriched by the presence and leadership of its African American residents, whose heritage, culture, and community are an integral part of what makes our township great. And whereas recognizing Juneteenth strengthens all of our collective resolve to confront the legacy of slavery and systemic racism and and to work together towards a community and nation where freedom, equity, and justice are fully realized for every person. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Mayor and Township Council of the Franklin Township, Somerset County, New Jersey, do hereby proclaim June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth National Freedom Day in Franklin Township. And we call upon all residents to reflect upon the meaning of this historic day, to honor the memory of those who endured slavery and fought for freedom, to celebrate the resilience and achievements of the African American community, and to renew our commitment to justice, equity, and the full promise of freedom for all people. And by the way, we're going to have a Juneteenth celebration here in Franklin Township this Saturday, June 13th. There's going to be a parade that starts down Hamilton Avenue and ends up at Neiman Williams Park. So there'll be speeches, there'll be musical celebrations, and you're all welcome to come. Everything will be free to the public. Thank you very much.
So I ask for unanimous consent to open to the public. Seeing no objection, we're open to the public for public session. Anyone may speak. You can go on up. There's, sure. Anyone may speak, limited to 5 minutes of time, may only come up once, no yielding of time. Please state your name and address. There's a section here that we're going to have dedicated to the warehouse ordinance. That will be, at that one you can only speak about the warehouse ordinance. On this one you can speak about anything, but there is a dedicated time for that. Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Stephen Savard. I'm currently the secretary of the HOA board in Society Hill 3. And I wanted to come to you guys today about some safety matters around our community. So dear Mr. Mayor and members of the Township Council, I'm writing to formally request the immediate installation of speed bumps, crosswalks, and pedestrian signals on Beekman Road at the intersection of Chelsea Court, Lindsay Court, Stewart Avenue, and Delar Park. This request comes after the Township's previous denial of our neighborhood's comprehensive traffic safety proposal. Despite that denial, dangerous conditions on Beekman Road have continued to escalate. Recent incidents demonstrate that the current approach is no longer sustainable. Since our prior petition, which sought a reduced speed limit from 35 miles per hour to 25, clearly marked crosswalk, pedestrian warning signals, and improvements to hazardous blind curves, the following events have occurred. A vehicle traveling at high speed lost control at the intersection of Beekman Road, Chelsea Court, and Lindsay Court and overturned. A speeding vehicle left the roadway and struck 2 trees with enough force to require ambulance transport for its occupants. A T-bone collision occurred after a driver ran a stop sign. These are not isolated accidents. They are a part of a clear and predictable pattern caused by excessive speed on a residential road with blind curves, limited sightlines, and high pedestrian activity. The geometry of Beekman Road makes high speeds inherently unsafe, and the absence of meaningful engineering controls has left residents, children, and pedestrians unnecessarily exposed. Speed bumps are a proven, cost-effective traffic calming measure routinely used in similar residential corridors. In addition, adding marked crosswalks and flashing crossing signs ensures residents can navigate their neighborhood safely and with confidence. Given the repeated incidents and the Township's earlier determination that prior collisions and pet fatalities did not warrant action, physical infrastructure is now the necessary and appropriate response. We understand that municipal budgets involve competing priorities. However, the safety of our neighborhood cannot continue to be deferred. Voluntary compliance and enforcement alone have proven insufficient. We have exhausted reasonable alternatives and now face a situation where further delay could result in preventable injury or tragedy. We respectfully urge the committee to approve the installation of speed bumps, crosswalks, and pedestrian crossing signs at the identified locations without further delay. We are available to meet and discuss this matter at your earliest convenience. We do have a petition of over 300 signatures from our community to help improve these situations. Thank you for your attention to this critical public safety issue, and we look forward to your prompt response.
Thank you. You can turn the petition into the clerk.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Debbie Stewart, 2 Farrington Plaza. I've brought this up before, and I know we've said it's because people are slobs, and that could be partially true. And it's about trash, and trash falling off the garbage trucks. Is there a plan? Do we have resources to go through our roads and collect trash? I've been in other townships, and I see bags of trash. So somebody someplace is collecting. I don't know if we have any kind of a program like that. So if there is, please let me know. Secondly, and I've been meaning to say this for a long time, Mettler's Road, by the charter school, there are no signs that say school anywhere. I don't know if it's different because it's a charter school, but there is nothing there. You see the park signs, but nothing by the school. I'm surprised at that, and I also think twofold it should be because it's a school, and secondly, it would really also help people slow down at that part of the road. So those are my 2 questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Deborah Inman, I-N-M-A-N, 67 Roberts Road. My question is probably for you, Mr. Von Locker, about the noise ordinance and the enforcement of it. And I understand that the police officers give summonses at their discretion. However, there is a residence in my neighborhood who constantly violates the noise ordinance because they rent their pool out. So my request is that when the officers are called to that residence, that they speak with the homeowner and issue a summons, because those people that are renting her pool are not residents of my neighborhood, so they don't care. But I want to hold the homeowner accountable for the actions of her customers that rent out her pool. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish?
Alex Clark, 396 Hamilton Street. Like usual, I'm here to talk about ranked choice voting. Voter Choice New Jersey has been very busy over the past few months. We've been seeing a lot of interest. The Piscataway Board of Education recently passed a resolution in support of ranked choice voting. The League of Women Voters has signed our letter of support, and we've been doing events with them around the state. I want to highlight a few of the election results we have seen across the country so far this year, some of them from last week. And these are just a sample of those elections. There's many more if you look. First, starting off with the West Coast, Oregon, the U.S. Senate Republican primary, the top 2 candidates received 29.8% and 27.4% of the vote. In the state Senate Democratic primary, the top 2 had 35.3% and 34.2% of the vote. In California, for governor, the top 2 candidates, last time I checked, had 27.2% and 25.9% of the vote. For lieutenant governor, the top 2 have 19.2% and 18.7% of the vote. And of course, California uses runoff elections, so the top 2 will go head-to-head in another election. But why waste time and taxpayer money on runoff elections when voters can simply select their backup options in a ranked choice ballot in just one election? That's what ranked choice voting is. It's also known as instant runoff elections, or instant runoff voting, rather. In Arkansas, the Secretary of State Republican primary, there was a 3-way split, 34.4%, 33.5%, and 32.1% of the vote. In Illinois, the U.S. House District 9 Democratic primary, the top 2 had 29.4% and 26.3%. In District 8, it was 31.6% and 26.9%, and District 7, 23.7% and 20.5% for the top 2 candidates. Can it happen in New Jersey? It can, and it happened last week. For the U.S. Senate Republican primary, there were 3 candidates who split the vote, 33.3%, 29.2%, and 26.8% of the vote. And in U.S. House District 12, that's our district, the winner received only 28.3% of the vote. Now, I'm not here to pass judgment over any of the candidates. I'm just here to call attention to the uncertainty that comes out of this plurality election process. These kinds of results erode voter confidence and leave us questioning whether or not we are electing the leaders who will best represent us. But these are the outcomes that plurality voting gets us, and it happens frequently, and it will keep happening. Now, for Senate and House seats, we would need to implement ranked choice voting statewide. There will naturally be more hesitancy for a statewide change. It's a big change. It's understandable. So before we can do that, we need to enable ranked choice for local level municipal elections, which is what the Municipal and School Board Voting Options Act does. This will allow municipalities to implement ranked choice for council and school board elections if they choose, and it gives us the opportunity to demonstrate to the rest of the state that ranked choice voting works, and it's a much better system than what we have now. A couple of months ago, Virginia passed similar legislation to enable RCV for their local elections. One of the interesting differences is that their bill allows RCV to be implemented by a majority vote of the local governing body. So that would be like if this council decided to vote on implementing ranked choice voting for Franklin's elections. Our bill, the New Jersey bill, requires ranked choice voting to be implemented by ballot referendum. I think our bill is a better bill because it lets the voters to decide. So what can this council do? I'm once again asking the council to consider a resolution in support of the Municipal and School Board Voting Options Act. The new bill numbers for this legislative session are S1643 and A1745. It seems to me that we kind of want to be a democracy by virtue of the fact that we let citizens vote to elect their representatives and leaders in government, but at the same time, we don't want too much democracy, it seems, because we keep using an election process which allows candidates to win with a small portion of the vote, a small share of the vote, as low as 19% in the examples I gave. So what's it going to be? Do we actually care about democracy, or are we going to just keep pretending? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, good evening. Lorinda Harper, 164 Churchill Avenue. Good evening, Mayor Kramer and Council. Last council meeting 2 weeks ago, I think this was briefly discussed, but I'd like to, again for the record, like to ask again. How many CDB businesses are in the 4th Ward right now, and do we anticipate any more applications? I believe the number was 17 or maybe more, but right now I think we have enough, and we don't need another one in the 4th Ward. And also with that, there's a lack of healthy food restaurant options and a nearby supermarket here in the 4th Ward. So I just wanted to know at this time, has there been any interest in a new grocery store where the old Stop and Shop used to be on Veronica Avenue, Route 27? And Bob, I'd like to publicly thank you for facilitating the tree maintenance next to my home, the Township lot. It was needed to be done, but I thank you again for facilitating that. And Councilwoman at Large, that was a lovely proclamation we read for Juneteenth National Freedom Day. Thank you for that. We should all know our history. But one thing I wanted to ask, and you said it's going on this Saturday. I was wondering if you could tell me why it's a week earlier than June 19th. I had the honor of riding on the float last year with you all, so I just wanted to know why we were doing it earlier. So those are my questions. Thank you.
Skip Richards, 14 Bryant Court, Somerset, New Jersey. I want to thank the council.
I'm sorry, could you say your name again?
Skip Richards, 14 Bryant Court, Somerset, New Jersey. I want to thank the council for changing the sign on Western Canal Road recently from regarding the Randolph Road for 1.5 miles and all that. Thank you very much for that change. I would like to request the council have an additional sign added at the turn by Schoolhouse Road and Western Canal to say no trucks, no turns, trucks. You can't do it. It's a 4-ton road from school. It's a 4-ton road from Western Canal Road to Randolph Road, and there's no 4-ton sign at the Western Canal Road end. You could add that sign as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Jan Brandt, 22 Bryant Court, and this probably goes to Bob. There was a street light on my street that was out, and I called the HOA office because that's what we're supposed to do and report it. And less than 24 hours, somebody was on our street. It was really unsafe because it was very dark and all. And Jared was the guy who came out, and he was amazing. He fixed the light, 1, 2, 3, and I just want to commend, I guess, is that the Public Works Department? No? Public Service Light. Public, okay, so please send them kudos because they did a great job. Thank you.
I'll take that.
Mr. Vornlocker had nothing to do with it.
I will take thanks for both.
Mr. Vornlocker had nothing to do with it.
Absolutely nothing. You are correct. But I'll take thanks anyway.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Although when the light's out, I report it to him, and he does have something to do with it. Seeing no one else coming to speak, I ask for unanimous consent to close the public portion. Without objection, public portion is closed. Address the comments. Well, I'll answer a couple of them. Most of them were for you, Mr. Vornlocker. Ranked choice voting.
That's not for me.
Where were you this last week? We needed it. But then again, even I only knew maybe 5 of the candidates, so I could have only gone down 5 rather than 12 or 13. But it certainly made your point when we had that many. The number of cannabis dispensaries is greater than 18. I think it's 20 or 21.
It's not in that one.
Not in the fourth.
No, in the 4th ward, I have no idea the count in the 4th ward.
They're not all in my backyard.
And we don't know of any more licenses available, so we don't know that there are going to be any more. But the state, unfortunately, doesn't let us know, so someone could have a license in their pocket. The Stop and Shop. So my understanding is another grocery chain has purchased the area of that Stop and Shop or rents it,
Right.
so that competition.
No, this is a different one, Mayor. Different one.
Okay.
Different one. This is the Stop and Shop at Veronica and Route 27 that they're referring to.
They're closed down.
That's closed. You're talking
closed
about
down.
the former Steinmart shopping shop and Stop and Shop.
Right.
They're talking about a different one.
Oh, okay. I don't have an answer for that.
I don't know. We'd have to ask Mr. Morris. He owns that shopping center. I don't know if he has any current people interested in leasing the space.
I think the rest are yours.
Okay. I'm more than happy to hit some of them here. As far as the Beekman Road petition, as you know, there was an engineering investigation done, as well as with cooperation of the police department. There are a number of factors involved. One, terminology is very important. Speed bumps are not permitted anywhere in the state of New Jersey on a public road. Speed humps are. The township has a speed hump policy that's available on the police department's website. If you are interested in having speed humps on your streets, there are a number of criteria that need to be met, including a petition, but in a specific form. So what I would direct you to is the township's website under the police department, or you can just search the website for speed hump policy, and it's there, and that's the way that you start that process for speed humps on roads. As I think it's been explained on at least several occasions, speed limits are not allowed to be randomly changed. All right. The council does not have the authority to change a speed limit legally without an engineering study that includes an 85th percentile study. Without that, no professional engineer will seal that change and put their license on the line. So that's the reason why the speed limit just can't be randomly lowered. Okay. As far as the pedestrian crosswalks, the sidewalks are under the control of the HOA. The ADA accessibility at those intersections needs to be addressed because they don't meet code. you have had sidewalks replaced in the last couple years, but the ADA compliance is not met, so therefore the side crosswalks can't be striped there. So you need to, I have the information from the petition that I'll get from the clerk, and I'll have the engineer reach out to you, explain all that needs to be done for that, okay? And as far as a flashing beacon, that's a decision that as the process is worked through, that council can make a decision on. That's a budgetary issue, and whether or not it's warranted, it'll be a decision that will come out of the engineering study again. So that,
Mr. Warlocker?
yeah.
You left out one thing that is very important when it comes to speed humps. Everybody's got to get on board. Everybody wants a speed hump, but nobody wants it in front of their house. So if you want a speed hump, let's get it together. But you have to be willing to put that hump somewhere around your house. But nobody wants to do it. I can't just put the lower end without talking to the front end. Because remember, they got to drive down the street. So if you're willing to suffer, they say about putting a speed hump in, let's do it. I've been talking about speed humps for years.
There's a lot of discussion that should be had before speed humps go in on a street, especially like Beekman Road. A lot of things need to be taken into consideration. What the councilman is referring to is that speed humps can also be a nuisance as it relates to noise and other things for people who live in close proximity. Beekman is a little bit different because there's no on-street parking. It doesn't interfere nearly as much as it does on some other residential streets. But we can certainly look at it, but the first step is take a look at the policy and start the process. And HOA is the perfect circumstance for the way the policy is written, because you already have a community group. It really needs a community group to get through the process. So you're already one step ahead of the game because it's in an HOA. It'll make it a little bit easier for you. And so that.
One more thing on that. They have them in Princeton. All over Princeton. Yeah, all over everywhere. They have speed humps. So in Newark and Irvington, they didn't ask. They just dropped them. Okay? They didn't know, I'm on that Avon Terrace. They just dropped them. I woke up one morning and there they go. So, my brethren here, I don't think I could do that. Sidewalks, I could put them out there and drop them in front of your property because I have an easement. And you'll love my sidewalks. But for speed humps, I can't just, okay? So, that ends that. Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Okay, no problem. Trash pickups along roadsides. So the Public Works Department every Saturday for pretty much from the break of the weather in April through October is out somewhere, mostly on the lengthy rural roads, collecting trash, but they also do some of the suburban neighborhoods as well as needed. And so if there's someplace in particular, there's two things that you can do. If there's someplace in particular that you see that you think should be brought to the attention, you can go to the website, and right on the website it says report a road condition. It's just a document that you can quick fill out a form, and one of the things is trash on a roadway. Just report that. That goes to the Public Works Department, also goes to me, so that they can create a work order, and then they'll put that on the list of streets for street side pickup. So that's that, and that's grant funded through the Clean Communities Act. Noise ordinance. I've already forwarded your request to the Public Safety Director, so there may be someone from either he or his command staff may be reaching out to you, Ms. Emmons, so that you can explain to him more specifically, but they can probably look up the records, but I already sent him the email since you got down from the podium. Cannabis, and I just want to be clear, Lorinda, CBD is different than cannabis. There are CBD shops or shops that advertise CBD. That is not a licensed cannabis dispensary. So the number should never be looked at as far as licensed cannabis facilities to include those CBD shops. Just and school zone, Matlers Road. So generally speaking, school zones are set up where there is school pedestrian traffic. There is no school pedestrian traffic on Matlers Road on the frontage of that school. So that would be, there's the procedure to establish a school zone is another one of those things that's in that federal manual on uniform traffic control devices. And generally you don't establish a school zone where there is no pedestrian traffic. The Central Jersey College Prep School, all of the bus traffic is internal to their school network of roads and parking lots. So there's no school buses stopping on the road, and there's no pedestrians crossing it. So it would be unlikely to meet kind of the sniff test for a school zone. So that's why there's not one there. So it's interesting. Years ago, we had an issue with the county convincing them to establish a school zone on Weston Canal Road where the former Alma Preparatory School was in the Zarephath Village. There's the school on what is the east side of Weston Canal Road, because they argued that just what I just said, that you don't put a school zone there. There was a crossing guard that we had posted there, Mr. Kruver, who was a crossing guard for 50 years at that post, crossing kids across the street because they left the school to come over to the village to use the gymnasium for physical education. There was a crossing guard, and there were students crossings, and they posted the school zone. It's no longer a school, so it's no longer there. But that little side story. And Mrs. Brandt, I will say thank you for thanking me, but I didn't do anything about it. But it made me think to maybe make this little public service announcement. We take emails and phone calls now probably about anywhere between half a dozen and a dozen times a week about a street light out. We appreciate that. You should all appreciate it too, because we pay a flat rate to public service for those streetlights. It's an unmetered service. We pay for it whether it's on or whether it's not on. So we want to know where they're out so that we can make sure that public service goes out and fixes them. That same form for roadside pickups or potholes can be done for a streetlight out as well. But I just want everybody to know that everyone has the ability to report a streetlight out, and public service has made it very, very easy. You don't even need a poll number anymore. Public service actually has an app for that now. If you go online and download the app, it's for Android or iPhones. It uses GPS, and you basically take like a Google map, and you mark on the Google map where the street light is that's out. You submit it, and they will even notify you when it's repaired. I mean, that's how we report them to public service. We don't have any special phone number or any special way. We just simply report it through the portal. So if you live in a neighborhood where you see streetlights out often and you want to try to help out and get the light back on as soon as possible, you can actually do that yourself as well, but by all means, you can still continue to report them through the website to the town. And that's, I think, everything covered there, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Renone, you had a comment about pool rentals.
We've had this issue before. I'm not sure that you're permitted to just rent out your pool.
Yeah, so we don't have any of we have no ordinance that prohibits short-term rentals, and that's actually an app like Airbnb and Vrbo. There's a number of people throughout the country who rent their pools for short-term usage.
It might be something you want to consider, Mayor, because most municipalities have adopted them. Because
throughout the state of New Jersey, people are doing it, though. There's pools all over.
Ms. Inman lives in the R10 zone. Is that right?
They're R20. I mean, she lives in R20. But I'm saying it literally, it's your swimming pool, and you and it's no different than Airbnb or any of the other short-term rentals.
Except it's not in your house and it's for a couple of hours in an afternoon.
Lou, I'm not arguing with you. I'm
Number of
just
people
telling you
go
it's
there.
throughout the state of New Jersey, and there, of the 564 municipalities, maybe a dozen or so have ordinances specifically towards pools. I've kind of looked into it a little bit. I know one in particular that did it, and that's Tom's River.
It's also an outside activity. Maybe we should consider it.
It's something we should look into.
Can you put that on admin's agenda?
That's going to be, we're going to be done around midnight, just so you know,
Well, it doesn't
Mayor.
have to be the next admin.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you say
admin.
on admin, that means next meeting,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You got a lot of agenda items for that admin meeting.
Yes, I know.
And I have one that I have to respond to.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
And so Ms. Harper asked, why is the Juneteenth celebration this Saturday when in fact Juneteenth is next Friday, June 19th? Well, the Somerset County Democratic Black Caucus is the sponsor of that Juneteenth parade celebration this Saturday, totally independent of the township. I would imagine because Juneteenth falls on a Friday, it's a national holiday, a lot of people are off. Even the township employees have that day off. And so for them to have it on the exact day, I'm sure it would cost a lot more money to have police presence and have the township employees work and support the parade. And so, and I'm a member of the Black Caucus, but I wasn't on the planning committee, but I would imagine it has something to do with related to cost.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, great. We'll move on to,
Oh, wait a minute. I missed something there. I caught the tail end of Mr. Bear. I think you guys talked about that cannabis deal. So let's get right down to it because something's wrong with that. I walked in the cannabis store, and yeah, I got a couple of them, but guess what? They're not selling to the kids here. They don't sell weed to all my people in Franklin Township who live in the Fourth Ward. They come there for one reason. 27. All you gotta do is go out to 27, and you have a lot of weed stores. One at Veronica Plaza closed. Why did it close? The other one down the block sells more business. It's out of there. So when you think about the weed stores, they popped up because they're near major roads. 287, Mr. Manager. Do we have some down there?
Sure.
Okay.
They're probably one of the most successful ones, I will tell you, is probably in close proximity to the location where a number of people in the audience today live. And I won't cast any judgment whatsoever as to why they are successful, but they are, and I know because I get the quarterly tax bills.
when did those people grow up?
They grew up in the 60s and 70s, and I won't cast any judgment whatsoever on that.
So as you can see, what you think goes on doesn't go on. Those kids don't go and buy that weed. You can't, it doesn't work that way. So somebody else is buying the weed in the stores and they leave. Now, I get a little funkier, but we're at the council.
Thank you. Let's move on to council comments, if I may. Mr. Singh, if you could start with off with council comments. Yep. Try to mix it up a little.
Yeah, happy to. So, folks, first of all, I want to thank everyone who spoke today. Your voice is important. I also want to give a shout out to our township officials, Bob and team, who do the best that they can and do a great job. So thank you. I do want to address, because it's the first ward, the Beacon hit, the
Side of three.
yeah, the recent mishaps. Yeah, they're not here, but I do want to talk to the first ward in general. So, thank you. We want to acknowledge the concern, number one. Two, collecting 300 signatures is no small effort. So, we obviously listen to you, but we walk in with 300 signatures. We realize the residents are genuinely concerned. Also understand that there was a similar request that was denied based on the engineering studies, but the recent incidents does require a revisit. So you've been told what the process should be, and I suggest you follow the process. We will also pass on the request to our engineering and public safety staff. Whether it's speeding, whether it's traffic calming, or any other step that we need to take, we certainly want to do that because resident safety is a priority for us. And given everything that we have in terms of resources, including budgets, we'll do the absolute best that we can. So thank you for bringing that up. Mayor?
Any other council comments from you?
No.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Udine.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. So just a couple pointers. I had shared the news of Franklin Township Chamber of Commerce. What they're doing is something amazing out there. They're connecting with our businesses, as they should, and they're asking the businesses if they can do some internship program for our Franklin youth students so that they can have some hands-on experience in STEM or marketing or business. I think this is great, another great way of our business giving back in town. And I thought that was absolutely something that was missing, and to see them already having this program up and running right now. So if you are out there and you're a local business, an organization, corporation that is willing to take some of our local youths, we can make those things connect and happen. So it's a great opportunity for our high school kids, either the young high school kids that are either graduating or maybe in the 9th grade, to start looking into these hands-on experiences. I also ran a community ask in Ward 2 with residents, and I met with 4 different groups in the last 3-4 months. It's going to be, it's in June, so 3-4 months it has been, and a lot of brainstorming sessions, a lot of feedbacks, inputs were provided on couple things: environmental, public safety, infrastructure, and I'm working with the 4 different groups, subcommittees, to now look into additional feedback. So if you are having ideas in Ward 2 how to just work and make things better, please reach out to me. Would love to keep hearing from you guys and the feedbacks. The other thing that's happening tomorrow, June 10th, I've also posted about, is the County Passport Clinic is hosted by Congresswoman Bonnie Watson, is having a passport renewal or expiration right now. It's summertime happening, so folks are traveling. It's a great opportunity to go there and get your passport renewed. It's at Manville Municipal Building from 1 to 5 p.m., and I think that's great. And then lastly, Somerset County Recycle. I know, Mr. Von Larker, we had talked about this. It's updated our website that connects to the county on the recycling totes and replacements that's already available. So if you have questions about your specific tote or replacement policy, please feel free to go to our site, which will connect you to the county's website, because they are in charge of that recycling. So that's all I had, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Barrison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I spoke about the issue of some commercial tenants using more water, affecting the sewer charges. So we carried that message back to the Sewerage Board Authority board meeting on the 2nd. So the executive director is aware of it. The engineering firm is doing a research on comparing the water usage, how much they're paying for water, and how much they should be paying. So we will have that data soon, and hopefully we can correct the imbalance in billing to these commercial tenants soon. Of course, there was a planning board meeting. Some of you were there. last couple of weeks. Of course, there was a number of events I attended. The most significant one is the Franklin Board of Education approved the contract for the new superintendent. It's one of our own, Dr. Jaleel Maroon from Franklin. He was the former superintendent. Well, he's still the superintendent. Manuel.
No, actually, as of yesterday, he's gone.
Oh, he resigned? Okay, all right. He was. Well, I guess the message given to him worked because he was going to join later, but I think the board chair there prompted him to join sooner, so I'm glad to hear that. He's one of our own. He a local Franklin resident, went to Franklin school system, so we all welcomed. I'm the school board liaison from the council, so I was there along with the mayor and the councilwoman here. Other than that, I think tomorrow there's an event to appreciate volunteers to New Jersey Blood Services. As you know, they are always running short of blood. So I wanted to encourage all of you, if you're able to, please donate. When I was young in India, I read a sign, which I still remember. The sign said at a center, blood and money are meant for circulation. So you got to spend money, keep it moving, circulating, and blood, it's meant for circulation. It's both in your body and out. So please donate blood, and I think that you'll be helping the community. Other than that, any teachers here? Retired teachers, former teachers here? Oh, good. So there was an NJEA was in town. They celebrated the AAPI Heritage Month, and they invited me to speak. So I was there. It's the first time NJEA has come to our town. So I welcomed them on behalf of the council and the township. Hopefully they'll return to the town again. That's all I got, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilwoman Francois.
I only have one thing to say. So this is for you, Councilman Singh. Are you listening? Yes. Okay. So we've had somewhat of a phenomena over at the Franklin Township Youth Center. Our major population over there is grades 6 to 8, so the middle school. For some reason, when we built the youth center, we thought, that all youth would want to go there from middle school to high school. But what we're finding is that, the high school students, they have stuff to do. They're in sports. They don't want to mingle with the young kids. And so what we do every year, we have what we call the Rise of the Sixth Graders. So this particular Saturday, we're going to have an event from 2 to 5, Saturday, June 13th, for the fifth graders that are getting ready to go into sixth grade. So what we do is we open up the door, we introduce them to the youth center, and the ones that are going into high school, they kind of leave, and we have a new influx of youth that come into the youth center. And what we find is that when they come, they don't leave until they go to high school, which is a good thing, because we're getting them young, and we need to get them young. Sometimes by the time they're in high school, it's too late to have that effect on them. So we're going to have free food, games, giveaways, basketball, program demos. We like to tell them what's programs and services we offer over there, video games and more. So, Councilman Singh, you told me next time we have something at the youth center, you wanted to know. So I'm letting you know. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Vassanello.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple quick comments. They left, the two gentlemen that were here about the speed humps, but I do also repeat, thank you for coming and doing your homework and making the effort, because I think it's important. Councilman Wright and myself, probably other council people too, but I think him and I more over the years, especially since COVID, and it seems like people started driving worse and worse, get asked about that. Long story short, the township has set kind of a high bar to meet the standards we require. But if there is anybody, as far as putting in a speed hump, but if there are people, please pursue it. If you meet the criteria, I know myself, I know Mr. Wright and probably others would love to see some strategically placed in this town, whether it's in the 4th or 5th Ward or down, way down the 1st Ward where I believe these gentlemen were from. But 3 or 4 years later out of COVID, and people, I don't understand it. And that kind of leads into the next thing. The other phenomenon, which is creating more danger and destroying more people's lives than is these e-bikes and scooters. I'm not against them. The laws have been, there are significant laws in Trenton. I don't think they're perfect, but I think they're a good start. They go into effect, I think it's this month or next month. They've been in the works for a long time, and I know our public safety director is dedicated, we talked about this at the last public safety meeting, to do anything they can to educate the public about this. Covers all those, I don't know, technical terms, e-bikes, scooters, the things that unfortunately people are just, you know, and it's not always their fault. Sometimes it's the vehicle, of course, but just in general, I'm glad to see that happen, and I look forward to our the effort our public safety department is doing. The only other thing I mention, June 20th, I think it is, Bob will know more, the mayor also, we're having the Blauenberg Band for the Big 250th. We've had events at least once a month since the beginning of the year. This is a great put your lawn chair and listen to patriotic songs across the whole genre. I believe it's, well, the manager will get the date, but June 20th. That's our big event for June 20th. So please, even if you're not in that kind of music, that band is spectacular from what I've heard, and this is a free event. So that's it. Thank you.
Councilman Onachaka.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The HRC wants to get involved in the forthcoming 250 years of independence of America. They want to post some veteran pictures at the ground of a municipal building. But what is told me that for it to be possible, they require approval from the council. So I don't know how far we've gone on that. And that's the issue they have right now. If this is resolved, we just need to add them and debate on it and approve it so they can go forth and continue with the project. Mayor, that is what I have here.
Okay, we can discuss later what they want to do.
Okay, okay, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wright.
On June the 27th, 2026, a Lakeside 5 fraternity will be cleaning Hamilton Street, and we start at 9:21, which is Foot Locker. We'll do it from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. So all the garbage that's out there, we'll pick it up, and we'll stop at the Mont Lane. So we'll have a lot of fun out there that day. Want to come join us, please. They need bags for us also. Ms. Francois touched on the Juneteenth program. She touched on the program and why it's going to be on the 13th. I don't know if she gave you the route. Did you?
No.
We start at the middle school, which is on Francis Street, up to Hamilton Street. We make a left-hand turn on Hamilton Street. And then we make a right-hand turn on Matilda, and we empty out into the park. Games, rides, food, you name it, we have it. Come on out and enjoy the day with us. Second thing, housing. And this is another thing that keeps coming up. As chairman of the redevelopment agency, everyone asks me about housing. Well, Franklin Township does not do redevelopment housing. We find locations for developers to put in affordable housing. Now, that affordable housing, you have to be on the list. Now, RPM in North, they come out of Montclair, they do a lot of affordable housing because they're doing it in our neighborhood, which is around Berry Street and off of 27. Now, if you wanted to get on that list, you got to go to the website. And there are a couple others that are doing affordable housing. Some of them actually live in North, but moved down here because if they want that affordable housing, you gotta go where it is, and it's down here. So once again, you have to go on the website, look for affordable housing locations, put your name on the list. We're on the list, I don't know how you're gonna fall on it. And when they call your name, bingo, either you take it or you don't. So that's a decision that we don't do around here. And Mr. Mayor, I think I'm done.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Karazi.
Good evening, everyone. Speaking of the the blood shortage, in fact, last meeting I made the announcement that there is an emergency need for blood. In fact, they said they only have 2 days of supply. And I'm happy to let you know that on June 21st, at Sadiq School, which is located at 49 Cedar Grove Lane, there will be a blood drive between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. So please come, and every donation saves 3 lives. So it's really important for us to help, and I'll be on the event tomorrow as well for that recognition of the those that they have volunteered to donate bloods. I also attended some celebration, having a second most diverse community. We have various community members that they celebrate their culture and tradition. So I was at the Turkish festival this past weekend. There's a Lebanese one is coming up this next weekend, this coming weekend, at the corner of Franklin Boulevard and Eastern Avenue. And in fact, our superintendent is from a member of that church, Lebanese. He's from Lebanon, or parents are from Lebanon. So they say that music is the universal language. So there's going to be another Music Fest 2026 on June 28th, and it's going to be from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. by Art Lab. So please come with the family, enjoy. It is at 269 Cedar Grove Lane, Somerset, so just around the corner. Again, that's on June 28th. And finally, the World Cup is going to start. For the soccer, those that they really love soccer, this is the great chance to watch, enjoy. So that's what I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. For my first segment, I'm going to put on my doctor hat and tell everyone who hasn't heard of it about alpha-gal syndrome. Just wondering, I poll the audience, who here knows what that is? That's the problem. So alpha-gal syndrome is basically a meat allergy that you get from tick bites. It's the Lone Star tick. It's a tick about the size of a dog tick. The head of it is black. The legs are black. It bites you and injects a protein into you. That after about 2 or 3 weeks, or it can even be months, you develop an allergy to all meat products. So basically anything with a hoof or something from that animal, such as milk or cheese, and you are allergic to it. 6 hours after ingesting, you can get hives, rash, abdominal pain, diarrhea, bloating. Not fun. Just another reason to not be bitten by a tick. Some people do get over this after years, but it can go on for quite a long time, even with them. So when you go outside, if you're going into anywhere where there's long grass or weeds or into the woods, the recommendation is you should wear something light colored so you could see the tick crawling on it. You tuck your pants into your socks so that they can't get in that way. You spray DEET, at least on the lower part of your body, but maybe the upper part too. And, the ticks carry a lot of bad things, and here's yet another one. And I have a friend in the area who has gotten it, so it's in the area.
Mayor, can you get tested for that?
Yeah, oh, actually, I'm glad you said that. You can get tested for it, and also if a tick bites you, you pull off the ticket, save the tick, put it in a plastic bag, with a Ziploc, bring it to a doctor, and they can, an infectious disease doctor would be better set up for it, and they can test that tick for it. So you'd have a better idea or an earlier idea. I don't know this because I've read it, but what I know about allergies is you wouldn't be able to get tested for it right after the tick bites you. You'd have to build up the antibodies first. So please be careful. We want our restaurants to do well. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Vasanella, Blauenberg Band?
I may have mispronounced it.
No, you probably know it better than
you
I
got
do.
it right. It's Blauenberg Band.
It is June 20th from 6 to 7:30. And I think it's going to be a really excellent band, excellent time. June 13th, we've got the Juneteenth parade. Mm-hmm. We've got the youth center, and we have the Pride celebration at the gazebo from 11 to 3, I think. Yeah, 11 to 3. Mm-hmm. So don't say you don't have anything to do on June 13th.
It's actually 12 to 3.
12 to 3, thank you.
You might need to be there at 11 for setup.
Exactly.
Yes.
You're exactly right. But you can come help set up at 11. And on July 2nd, we're having our 4th of July festival here. Mr. Vornlocker probably has more to say about that. So introducing Mr. Vornlocker.
Which one do I have more to speak about?
July 2nd.
Oh, sure, I can talk about that. But before I talk about July 2nd, since we've covered this Saturday's multitude of events that I had on my calendar and my screen here, and going to, I believe it was the deputy mayor spoke about the stigma-free meetings. So this upcoming stigma-free council meeting to be held on Wednesday, June 17th at 6:30 p.m. at the Community Senior Center here in our municipal complex. In honor of Pride Month, the Franklin Township Stigma-Free Council proudly welcomes Jackie Barris. Ms. Barris, MSN, MBA, and RN, is an advocate, leader, educator, and innovator in the LGBTQIA+ inclusive healthcare. Please join us to hear from Ms. Barris about how to create an environment of allyship and support during Pride Month and beyond. And then just taking it one step further for stigma-free, the Franklin Township Stigma-Free Council is seeking residents interested in joining the fight against mental health stigma and substance use disorder stigma by helping to develop stigma-free events, resource workshops, youth programs, public awareness campaigns, and more. To join as a member or attend as a guest, please RSVP with your name, phone number, and email address to Safi Callan at stigmafree@franklinnj.gov. So we're always looking for people to get involved in our township committees, councils, and commissions. Stigma-free needs members. Safi Callan is our special projects manager here in town, and she's responsible actually for the Stigma-Free Council. And so stigmafree@franklinnj.gov if you have interest in joining in that effort. And I can do the fireworks, Mr. Mayor. I just have to get to the right screen here, if I can.
As he's doing that, the council chamber weather report is it started out freezing, now it's hot.
That was cut from the budget. So, Franklin Township marks America's 250th with Independence Day celebration and fireworks, so you can plan in advance. We'll have one more council meeting to announce this. Our Independence Day celebration and fireworks are on Thursday, July 2nd at 6 p.m. here in the Municipal Complex. Fireworks display will be at 9:15. There will be food trucks, exhibitors from local township businesses, organizations, and children's activities. Musical performances will be at the gazebo by the Franklin Township Community Band and the featured band, the New Jersey National Guard 63rd Army Band. Certainly fitting for an Independence Day celebration on the 250th anniversary. Franklin 250 will be represented with a dedicated tent where you can purchase the Franklin Township commemorative coin set, The Faces and Places of the Revolution. This limited edition collection features 2 coins capturing Franklin Township's unique role in the nation's founding, unique role in the nation's founding, period. Coin 1, Time and Place, commemorating pivotal revolutionary moments with imagery of George Washington and the Liberty Bell. And Coin 2, Unsung Heroes, honoring the indigenous leaders, black patriots, and women who shaped our community's spirit during the struggle for independence. Stop by to sign the Franklin 250 official flag, learn about upcoming events and volunteer opportunities, and own a piece of local history. In the event, and there will be no inclement weather, but in the event of inclement weather, the celebration will be rescheduled to Friday, July 10th at 6 p.m. Attendees are welcome to bring blankets, lawn chairs, and their own refreshments. However, alcoholic beverages are not allowed. Additionally, and I would like to just touch on one thing about attending our fireworks. Unless your dog is well trained and not sensitive to loud noises and is a service dog, I would strongly, strongly, strongly urge you to leave your dog home if you're coming here for fireworks. As someone who's owned dogs, pretty much my entire life, it's not an environment that's dog friendly, other than people are friendly towards the dogs before the fireworks start, but it's dark. And it's loud, and dogs often react to loud noises. And when a dog runs away in the dark in an unfamiliar area, it's just sad for the people who own the dog. So please think about bringing your dog to the fireworks, and unless it's absolutely necessary, which service dogs are, then you should probably leave the dog home. And that's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. We're on to item number 10, council discussion items. There are none. Item number 11, approval of the minutes. We have minutes for work session, regular meeting, and executive session, both on May 12th and May 26th. Does anyone have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
So moved. Second. Moved and seconded. Anyone have a correction, comment? No, hearing none. Madam Clerk.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Time to pay the bills. Warrants in the amount of $10,899,905.37 on June 9th, 2026 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Do we have a motion on the warrants?
I move that the warrants as read be paid.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Anyone have a comment or question on the warrants? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Item number 13, public hearing and adoption of ordinances on second reading. So the first reading is when we announce to the world that we're considering an ordinance. The second reading is when we vote on that ordinance. And at the second reading, there's an opportunity for the public to speak. So we're ordinance 4507-26, an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 112, Development, intended primarily to address light industrial development, including warehouses in the business and industrial zone, and to make associated amendments to the land development ordinance is presented for public hearing and final adoption. The public hearing is noticed as required Before we go to public hearing, I'm looking for the manager to, are you ready?
As soon as I get Councilman Wright out of my ear, I'll be ready.
I've been trying for 12 years, 16 years. But, so what I want to do before public hearing, that's what normally comes next. We hired a advisor, a consultant, and to help us with this. He's worked for a year, and he spoke at the last planning board meeting, and I really think he summed things up well. So I wanted to play that so all the council members could see it.
Anne Marie, if you can switch to my computer, HDMI. Well, it should go.
I suspect that's not your wallpaper.
It's not, and it's, are you sure it's over here? Oh, there it goes. I think it's going now. No. No, there's nothing here that I need to hit. That's what I was going to do, but that's why I was hovering. It's plugged in. No. Might be going to steal Anne Marie's HDMI cable. You switched it over, right, Ann? Well, I guess I'll come down and see you.
This is.
We have other laptops here, if we could bring them up. Mr. Singh, could you?
Let's see. Why don't we do the public hearing and then have them do it afterwards? They can answer the questions. Okay.
Well, while you're doing that, we could get the consent agenda out of the way. So Council. So items A through AA, as listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting, are presented to Township Council for adoption. Do we have a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Anyone like to pull an item, question an item? Madam Clerk.
Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Nonichaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Are we close?
Oh my God, do I have it?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Spelled Roberts. My address is 102 Bel Air Drive, Palm Coast, Florida.
Perfect. Go ahead. He's qualified and obviously has worked on this extensively, so take it away.
Yeah, I think, Dave, if the board has, you've done a memo regarding this, 7 pages that's been provided to the board and was in the agenda packet. Could you just give an overview of your report and your key findings?
Sure, I'd be happy to, and I'll keep it concise. Really, the first point that I wanted to make is that the document that the Planning Board adopted in January was a multi-part document, and the board has done this many times previously, in that it was a re-examination report and re-examination of the master plan and land development ordinances, but in particular those that pertain to the business and industry zone, but it also was an update to the master plan. So the board has followed that format in the past. And so in terms of trying to determine, for your determination as to whether this ordinance that has been prepared and referred to you by council is not inconsistent with the master plan, or even consistent with the master plan amendments that you made, that was the first point I wanted to make. And what I tried to do in the memo was to pull out the main land use element amendments, and they really were fairly limited because it had to do with one specific goal that of all the land use goals in your master plan that pertain to commercial and industrial and light industrial uses, and then the objectives that were modified in the land use element, and then there was an additional additional language in the land use element that was incorporated in that update that is pertinent to consistency, and really to sort of try to make it as easy as possible. I tried to put together a table that broke it down as to the goal, which was the same goal all the way across, the additional objectives that were added to the land use element, and then lining up provisions from the proposed ordinance that pertained, that compared to that objective, and then a determination, at least what I would suggest would be a yes or no. Is it consistent or is it not consistent? And I think as the board well knows, the main difference in this ordinance, because I did point out that the ordinance that's been referred by council incorporates much of the recommendations that were in the proposed ordinance in the reexamination report. For example, definitions were incorporated. Many of the conditional use standards that were in the board's recommendation are in this proposed ordinance from council. The biggest difference is that instead of having the two layered low and medium intensity light industrial uses and having their location determined, the ordinance that came back from council limited the allowable development, light industrial or warehouse development, to low intensity, and kept those uses. There was two different parameters. One is keep it within a road mile of an interchange to I-287, and also an additional parameter that restricted him from being any closer than 500 feet from a residential zone. So the one road mile was in the recommended standards from the board, but it pertained to medium intensity. The councils applied that same standard to low intensity, and then restricted all warehouse development from being anywhere within 500 feet of a residential zone boundary. So obviously the council's ordinance is more restrictive than the one that the board preferred to the council. But if you compare it to the overall goal and the overall objectives that I laid out in that table, they are equally responsive in terms of those achieving those objectives. So generally, the standards are consistent, in my opinion, to the goals and objectives that were in that update. And then there's the additional language that I pointed out in page 7, which is the summary conclusion. I'll just read that quickly for the board. It's in quotes in the middle of that page. It says that the recommendation of the land use element was to provide a framework to minimize traffic, noise, and air quality impacts of light industrial uses, including certain types of warehouses, by applying reasonable standards as to the size, the location, and the intensity, so as to preserve the quality of life of residential zones adjacent to the B business industrial zone. So that was the overall recommendation. What the board had suggested in the ordinance that was sent to council was a way to do that. What the council came back to the board with was a slightly different way of doing it and more restrictive way of doing it, but no less responsive to that overall recommendation, in my opinion. So that's really it in a nutshell. I think the main consistency determination is that the ordinance doesn't have to be consistent with every aspect or every detail of the reexamination report. It has to be consistent, or at least not inconsistent, with the goals and recommendations and the amendments made to the land use element. And in my opinion, that there is nothing in the proposed ordinance that would be inconsistent with that, with those recommendations. And Mr. Chairman, that's pretty much what I was trying to relay to the board.
Thank you, Dave. Any questions from the board for Dave?
I just have one question. So I think one of the main objectives of the master plan initiative that the town went through was to try to minimize trucks coming from warehouses from traversing through streets that go through residential areas of the township, and as well as trying to minimize, just generally minimize impacts to residential zones. To the degree that this ordinance further restricts warehouse locations more than the one that was recommended in the master plan, I would think, as a planner, that this ordinance is certainly consistent with that objective, those objectives, and actually it furthers those objectives more so than even the recommendation in the master plan. Would you?
Yes, and I would, Mark, and I think one of the things that is in this proposed ordinance that really hits that directly or addresses it directly is there are standards now proposed in that ordinance that would require at the time of application that the truck routes that are contemplated within a particular type of application that involves trucking, that those truck routes be laid out for the board as part of the site plan. That's an additional layer of oversight that I don't believe we had in the original ordinance, which is in this proposed ordinance. And there's a lot of other provisions that really hit those objectives hard, and that's particularly the objectives that having to do with controlling truck traffic, and especially using residential streets or prohibiting them from using residential streets. Some of those conditions are the same. For example, the requiring that they have access on higher order streets so that they're not outletting onto any kind of residential street. And then also the board's recommendation regarding the FAR, which, as I pointed out in my memo, was intended to prevent a circumvention of the standard by subdividing a parcel and building 2 warehouses on a parcel instead of 1. The FAR has to be maintained, and we went over that. The board understands that as from when we went over the master plan. So I think there was a lot of provisions that were carried forward from the board's recommended standards, and some that were added by council that are even more that add an even additional layer of oversight.
Yeah, and I think that point, Dave, about floor area ratio is probably the most important point, because.
So with that, we are open to the public. Same rules as before. 5 minutes, only speak once, no yielding of time, name and address.
Before the clock starts, is this on? Yep. Before the clock, I'd like to say I was in college in the 60s and I didn't do weed back then. But this warehouse issue might cause me to go across the street from Somerset Run to the cannabis store outside our gate. And I didn't know that Dave was going to be speaking tonight. Some of my prepared remarks may sound redundant because I was on the committee and I support the recommendations. So the clock can start. Dave Robinson, 349 Biltmore Lane, Somerset Run. In 2023, the council adopted an ordinance to remove warehouses as a permitted use in the BI zone, prompted by the significant increase in applications since 2018. The re-examination report states that there were 37 applications for 7.8 million square feet of new floor space between 2018 and 2023. This is in addition to millions of square feet already in place. It stated that this rapid expansion would create significant impacts in the quality of life in Franklin Township, including increased truck traffic, noise, and pollution. The ordinance was approved by a 7-0 vote. 6 of the current council members voted in favor. Mayor Kramer, council members Ann Barsarin, Francois, Oniajaka, Wright, and Vazanella. Ooh, that's a mouthful. As concerned voter paying attention to this issue, it demonstrated your commitment to the residents' well-being and was greatly appreciated. Although this is a huge positive step forward, the MLUL still permits developers to apply for a use variance from the zoning board to build new warehouses in the BI zone. We see recent examples with warehouse applications on the Ukrainian Church and Executive Drive properties. Anyone who thinks more applications won't continue to be brought to the zoning board isn't living in the real world. This realization led to the master plan reexamination report and ad hoc steering committee. In 2024, the township hired Brightview Engineering to produce a traffic study and make zoning recommendations, including bulk requirements, design standards, and other criteria for evaluating future warehouse applications brought to the zoning board. All of this led us to where we are here tonight. The requirements for the use variance proposed in the ordinance will ban large warehouses, prevent them from abutting residential properties up to 500 feet, and restrict them to 1 mile from Route 287. They're even more restrictive than those the planning board draft. It also removes data centers as a permitted use. Of the 27 applications that went to the planning board between 2023 and 2025, only 9 would have met the new requirements. All are under 150,000 square feet and meet the 1 mile restriction. Some applications that would not have made it through the zoning board with the new criteria are, for example, the 437,000 square foot Duke Realty warehouse on Elizabeth, right next to a school where cars and buses line up in the morning and the evening on Elizabeth. The B9 warehouse next to Canal Walk wouldn't have been permitted. The Onyx warehouse, currently planned to be crammed between Somerset Run, a nursing home, and a busy ShopRite, wouldn't have been permitted. These are only a few examples. Some here tonight might ask the council to try to outright ban or cap warehouse variance applications in the B1 zone entirely. This may not be feasible from a legal perspective and might even result in further lawsuits on top of those filed in 2023. Unfortunately, we can't undo what has been done. Accepting that applications will continue, it is far better to have more stringent requirements in place for the zoning board to apply to these requests. The ordinance accomplishes that. Also, to address the real issue of worsening levels of service at several key intersections, the Brightview report included many recommendations for improvement, including upgrading traffic signal equipment, optimizing signal timing, enforcing and coordinating the county truck and weight limit restrictions, and recommendations like wider and dedicated turn lanes. These recommendations should be followed up on. After the council returned the draft ordinance to the planning board with their more restrictive criteria, the planning board and Brightview analyzed these changes. They concluded that there was no provisions in the ordinance referred to by the council that are inconsistent with the master plan. In summary, let's not make the perfect the enemy of the very good. Absent an unrealistic total ban, the requirements and recommendations contained in this ordinance are reasonable, enforceable, and will go a long way to avoid further harmful warehouse sprawl in this small area, particularly regarding warehouses next to residential properties. I urge the council to finish the good work you started in 2023 and vote to approve the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. I meant to say before he stood up, and he remained within these qualifications, this is really a time for statements, not questions. You're free to ask questions if you want, but this is, at a planning board meeting, this would be the time for statements, and which is exactly what you did. So, but that's just a suggestion. Next person who would like to speak.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Marlon Kwan, 28 Jay's Corner, Somerset Canal Walk. First of all, I want to applaud the council and the mayor for bringing this to a crossroads. And although I agree with Dave Robinson on most of what he spoke about, I truly believe that we cannot look at this as a take it or leave it type of situation that the floodgates are open, so therefore we can only close them halfway. The reality is that as the statistics show, we have many, many warehouses at this point. But given the circumstances, I would like to just start out by saying that you all have recognized the worsening state of our township by the enormity and the number of warehouses. Our residents have waited too long for such an ordinance to change and close loopholes the developers have taken advantage of in creating these mega warehouses. In general, it's a good start. However, it doesn't go far enough. Given the traffic study recently completed that highlights no less than 12 choke points in the areas of danger, both to pedestrians as well as vehicular traffic. I asked the mayor of the council to adopt this ordinance. I support it. I think it's a good start, but it's not the finish. At the end of the day, I would ask that the council consider adopting an amendment to this ordinance once this is approved to go to a first reading at your next meeting. And that is to supply a reduction in the metrics used for the number of docks permitted for these buildings. It was arbitrarily decided with no real support behind them for every 5,000 square foot of space to allow one high docking space. That is for specifically 18-wheelers. And given that, on a 150,000 square foot building, you have 30 bays. 30. Multiply that by the number of trucks going in and out on an hourly basis, not to mention the fact that mechanics will allow them to fill these trucks faster in the near future than they're doing now, that you can have multiples in an hour of these trucks going in and out of one bay. So I'm asking you to look at very hard the amendment to decrease that metric. You have a 450,000 square foot building on Elizabeth Avenue that's being built. Check out how many loading docks there are. The other loophole that I'd like to bring up as well is that when you have a minimal amount of developers having multiple buildings in Franklin Township, multiple warehouse buildings in Franklin Township, Mr. Vornlacher in other meetings have cited this loophole, which is that if they are delivering locally or they're going to their home center, they're allowed, 18-wheelers are allowed to go on local streets and bypass the 4-ton restrictions. They bypass whatever restrictions because they're going back home. So can you imagine a loophole of one warehouse going and saying that they're going to go and to their other warehouse that is equally owned by the same owners? And so now you have multiple vehicular traffic of 18-wheelers going on small streets again. This is a loophole that needs to be closed. Thank you.
Jan Brandt, 22 Bryant Court. Good evening, Mayor and Councilwomen and Councilmen. I'm asking you to table this ordinance tonight and bring it back with stronger safeguards, including a clear understanding of how much warehouse development this actually will allow. I know a lot of work went into this, and I appreciate that effort, but my concern is that we still don't know what the end result looks like. The ordinance talks about setbacks, buffers, design standards, and its limit individual warehouses to 150,000 square feet. But that's not the same thing as limiting the total amount of warehouse development that can be built in the township. Since 2018 to 2022, Dave Robinson quoted this number, 7.8, I had more than 7 million square feet of warehouse space has already been approved in Franklin Township. 7.8 million square feet, and we have a small township here. And the township's ordinance actually acknowledges the concerns about traffic, truck, congestion, noise, and air quality. So the question I keep coming back to is how much is enough? How many more warehouses are we actually talking about under this ordinance? How many more truck trips? How many more intersections, Marlon said 18 or 12, are pushed closer to failure? The township's traffic study already identified many intersections operating at failing levels. If that's where we are today, it's hard to understand moving forward without first knowing what additional build-out looks like. Maybe the municipal land use law might not be able to cap warehouses. I understand that. But after you figure out the impacts that the ordinance is going to have on the township, maybe things need to be tweaked in this ordinance, and that's why you should table it. Maybe the distance from the highway, if there's really going to be a large build-out, maybe the distance from the highway has to be a little bit less than a mile. Or maybe the warehouses need to be decreased from 150,000 square feet to 100,000 square feet. Or like Marlon said, maybe less truck bays. But I think that this ordinance needs to be tweaked. My point is this ordinance doesn't appear to define the maximum level of warehouse development we're ultimately allowing here. Right now, it feels like we're regulating each project one at a time without stepping back to look at the full picture when everything is built out. I want to mention something that residents have seen before. People asked the township to cap the dispensaries for cannabis, and no cap was put in place. Now we have 21 dispensaries in a relatively small area. Whether someone supports that or not isn't the issue. The issue is that once limits are set early, you don't really need to control where it ends up. I don't want to see that pattern repeated here with warehouses. The council has also shown before that it could slow down and fix an ordinance when something isn't right. The feral cat ordinance, which I was watching from home, is an example of that. It wasn't rushed through, it was tabled, it was fixed, and then it was passed later. I don't want to see things rushed. There's no urgency to pass this tonight without fully understanding what it allows at build-out. So I'm respectfully asking you to table this ordinance, come back with a build-out analysis, and seriously consider whether a defined limit on warehouse development is needed so we're not making decisions blind to the cumulative impact. Once this is adopted, the build-out is effectively locked in over time, and I don't think it's responsible to move forward without first understanding the full impact on traffic, infrastructure, and quality of life. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is John Kaplan. I'm an
You
attorney.
have to speak directly into the mic.
Sorry. My name is John Kaplan. I'm an attorney at Herald Law in Warren Township, New Jersey. I'm here on behalf of 5 Belmont Associates, MCS Franklin 2, PES Franklin 2, LLL 46 LLC, Jiffy and Clyde LLC, Onyx 1718 LLC, and North Washington LLC. I'm here this evening to object to Ordinance 4507-26, as it's contrary to the principles of proper zoning. Ordinance 4507 is at least the township's third attempt to limit or eliminate warehouse use in the township of Franklin. And that's not even considering the noise ordinance that was passed, which was recently overturned by the court and is now on appeal. The other ordinances passed by the township trying to limit or prohibit warehouse use in the township of Franklin are still subject of ongoing litigation. We specifically object to the inclusion of warehouse use as a conditionally permitted use subject to the arbitrary and unreasonable conditions, including, but not limited to, that a location must be within 1 road mile of interchange with Interstate 287. In New Jersey, properly zoning a property concerns more of what should and should not be permitted based on the surrounding neighborhood and its characteristics, separating one zone from another, not an arbitrary distance from the closest highway. Such a restriction will put 2 properties on the same block in the same zone subject to different zoning restrictions, one being permitted while the other one becomes a pre-existing non-conforming use. Likewise, there's no indication as to why 1 mile was even chosen as opposed to any other distance. There's no study performed on that. Likewise, adding that a property may not be located within 500 feet of a residential zone must have access to sewer and water, must have frontage on a scenic roadway, or may not have frontage on a scenic roadway, direct access to a minor collector road. These are all there to limit or prohibit actual and potential use of any property within the B1 zone, as well as limiting the use of existing warehouses and restricting the same within the B1 zone. As stated in the summary of Ordinance 4507, the B1 zone exists in two places within the Township of Franklin. One of them has properties that are close to 1 mile to 287, the other one's across town. All those properties across town that do not meet the conditions set forth in Ordinance 4507, including the B1, those properties in the B1 zone not within 1 mile of 287 interchange, will now all become non-conforming uses, some of which were just approved and built, none of which will now be able to be modified without obtaining a use variance. These properties, while not close to residential properties or 287, are located within neighborhoods consisting almost entirely of warehouse uses. The entire zone will now consist of primarily pre-existing non-conforming uses. This is not proper zoning, it's bad planning. This is merely the township's attempt to resolve the problem by imposing unnecessary and excessive restrictions on the use of private property. Likewise, not only must the property owner meet the conditional use variance in Ordinance 4507, it adds required conditions approval, some of which were just overturned in litigation as part of the noise ordinance, including but not limited to opening and closing boxes and mandatory gates. Further, Ordinance 4507 bans data centers outright, seemingly out of nowhere other than maybe some recent news articles. There have been no studies or the like on data centers, no mention of the same in the Township Master Plan, including the most recent re-examination report. Water is no longer an issue with data centers. Likewise, there's been no noise impact study, no study about rising costs to consumers. We have a client that's at a data center in the Township of Franklin since the 1980s. This property is just barely over the 1 mile zone from 1 mile limit from 287 interchange. Now it's just become a pre-existing non-conforming use. So with that, I'm urging the council to not adopt Ordinance 4507, as we believe it's arbitrary and capricious and unreasonable. Thank you.
Great job. You have to ask yourself, would you live there? Sir?
Good evening. Do I give my name or?
Name and,
Yeah.
name
Matt
and who
Flynn.
you're representing.
Matt Flynn, Flynn. I'm representing the same clients as the prior witness. I'm a professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I have my professional planner's license in the state as well as my AICP certification. The reason I'm here tonight is because this is a pretty unique ordinance. I'm going to focus mainly on the fact that one of the conditions is that warehouses have to be within 1 road mile of the I-287 interchanges. I say that that's unique. It's not something that I've seen before. I work in many other towns. It's not a requirement that I've seen elsewhere. I have seen ordinance that limit certain uses to types of streets being arterials or collectors. That's known as like the street classification system. I would concur with the prior witness. Why 1 mile? Why not 2 miles? Why not a half mile, as one of the other people said? This is an arbitrary number, and it has to be tied to legitimate planning goals. On top of that, why distance at all? Why not specific truck routes? Why not specific roadway classifications? Why not surrounding land uses? Why not travel time? I would note that there are several minor arterial roadways within the B1 zone, which typically allow trucks to reach the interstate system without traveling through local roadways. So if the goal was to prevent that, I would say that there are other ways to accomplish that. I would say that a property that is 2 miles from the highway but on an arterial roadway might be better from a traffic standpoint than a property that is only 1 mile but it's on a collector roadway. The expert that was on the screen earlier talked about the fact that we wanted to limit traffic through these local and collector roadways. I think there might be a better way to do that that is more direct. I would say that in terms of limiting intensity of warehouse developments, there's things that are more traditional in terms of zoning. Like I said, this is a relatively unique ordinance provision. More traditional things come in the form of buffering, setbacks, building size, coverage, FAR, noise controls, performance standards. These are all things that inherently limit development intensity. I would say that zoning should also be contingent upon compatibility and actual land use conditions. Like the person before me noted, based on this ordinance, you could have a property that is right next door to a property that is zoned for warehouses, and the property right next door would not be allowed to have a warehouse. Is it across the street? Is it in a different zone? No. Is it closer to residential? No. And in this case, I'm referring to the same specific property that the prior witness was talking about. So I would say that if traffic is really the main concern, I would ask the board, or the council rather, if the means truly justify the ends. The master plan update identified 2 I-287 interchanges as top accident locations. The proposed ordinance would actually concentrate warehouses at those I-287 interchanges, which have been called out as problematic interchanges. So again, does the actual means justify the ends? The master plan update noted that Easton Avenue experiences significant traffic backups. Many of the properties within that one road mile distance either have frontage on Easton Avenue or are approximate to Easton Avenue. So again, if the goal is to mitigate traffic concerns, I would question the validity of that as well. The Brightview traffic study identified congestion problems at specific intersections and recommended truck route planning, weight restrictions, as well as roadway improvements. I would ask the township if we can identify where in the traffic study it concluded that restricting warehouses to sites within 1 mile of I-287 would reduce those traffic impacts that were identified. The expert or the professional that was on the screen earlier noted that the ordinance amendment is more restrictive than the master plan update in that it restricts low-intensity warehouses to that 1 mile distance. It introduces a 500 feet distance requirement from residential. I would say that these two requirements together represent something that is overly restrictive. If the goal is to keep warehousing away from residential, the latter would be sufficient. If the goal is to keep trucks from local roadways, I would say that this ordinance does not accommodate that goal for the reasons that I already mentioned. And then just to finish off, data centers are, of course, banned as well, so that's something that was not found in the master plan update. We don't know where that necessarily came from, so I would say that that is inconsistent. So all said, I would say that the ordinance layers numerous location-based and operational restrictions upon warehouse development. Even though each provision is necessarily intended to address substantially the same concern. The cumulative effect is not merely regulation, but a significant narrowing of development opportunities beyond what I feel is reasonably necessary to achieve the desired planning goals. So with that, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Oops.
That's loss of 2 minutes.
There you go. I was going to begin by thanking you, Mayor, for your health warnings to us. I remember several years ago when I was in the class, they used to call it not health education, health hygiene. And whenever they talked about a disease, everyone would start scratching, and I looked around the room and nobody was scratching. But thank you anyway. Ken Berkowitz, 7 Mayflower Court, Somerset, New Jersey. And I'll be very brief. I support the comments of some of my fellow residents here who extolled the work the Planning Board, Mr. Roberts, and others that they have put into this proposed ordinance, and we truly support it. I should say I only represent myself and my wife, not a whole bunch of other people, as the past speakers have done. I just have one comment, and you might think it minor. But my comment, an additional comment that Liz, goes to the summary, okay? In the summary, you state that, and let me just read from the second paragraph in the summary, okay? It is anticipated that this exponential growth in warehouse development will create significant impacts. The approval of warehouses have already created significant impacts. Okay, and so this will be taken to mean that you're looking at future and its perspective. I think this should be changed to indicate a recognition of the significant impacts that have occurred as well as a result of warehouse development already, and that it will be expedited or it will be increased even further by new warehouse development, okay? So I hope that's clear, but reading this, I thought it would be picked up after the first reading, but it wasn't. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, William Ling from Chiesa, Shahina, and John Tomasi.
Got to speak closer to the mic.
William Ling from Chiesa, Shahina, and John Tomasi law firm. I'm here on behalf of our clients 400 Atrium LLC in connection with property located at 400 and 600 Atrium Drive, and USPS Randolph LP in connection with the property located at 650 Randolph Road. As an initial matter, I'd say that we echo the comments made by the attorney and his planner recently stated. We've been involved in ongoing litigation concerning the prior warehouse ordinance adopted in 2022 and 2023, and have been actively involved in the planning review process over the course of the past several years in connection with the master plan reexamination and proposed zoning amendments to the warehouse provisions in the BI zoning district. When we initially became aware of the Township Council's potential adoption of the proposed ordinance, we expected to see the draft ordinance that was the subject of multiple steering and community meetings over the course of the past 2 years being considered by council. But instead, we saw something entirely different. The ordinance proposed for adoption is in essence a de facto warehouse prohibition ordinance similar in nature and effect to the warehouse ban that currently exists. In the prior draft ordinance that was attached to the Franklin Township Master Plan reexamination adopted January 14th, 2026, warehousing and light manufacturing facilities were classified into 3 potential categories based on land use intensity. Low-intensity light industry and medium-intensity light industry uses were classified as conditional uses in the BI zone, and specifically crafted conditional use standards relevant to both uses in the uses relevant to both low-intensity and medium-intensity light industry that were discussed and debated for years were provided. Medium-intensity light industry uses had additional standards that they must be located within 1 road mile of an interchange with Interstate 287 and could not abut a residential zone. The proposed ordinance wholly abandons the tiered system and instead adds the blanket term warehouse as a conditional use subject to strict standards pulled from the prior low and medium intensity uses, but only applying to warehouses of a very limited size. The proposed ordinance effectively eliminates all medium-sized facilities from consideration entirely, despite years of input into the conditional use criteria that were being developed to control these uses. Moreover, when the provisions of the proposed ordinance are actually applied to the existing inventory of proposed, approved, or constructed warehouses, nearly every warehouse is eliminated from compliance, therefore continuing to act as a ban and continuing to classify existing and approved warehouses as pre-existing non-conforming uses. We strongly oppose the ordinance in its current form. Many interested and effective parties like us engaged in good faith negotiations in connection with the prior draft ordinance and strongly believe that the proposed ordinance is being handled in an arbitrary, capricious, and unreasonable manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Skip Richards, 14 Bryan Court. The 3 attorneys are up here. I don't agree with much of what they said, except the last thing he said, that it should not pass this ordinance in the state that it's in. I mean, I think it should be integrated with traffic. And if you just Google it, you go and it says in New Jersey, the estimated average truck traffic for a standard warehouse is 0.6 to 1.6 trucks per 1,000 square feet. That is 6 to 16 trucks for 10,000 square feet. That equates to a 150,000 square foot warehouse. That's 90 to 240 trucks per day. And the number Jan put out there earlier is 7.8 million square feet. That is 4,680 trucks per day to 12,480 trucks per day. On 2 exits to 287, come on guys, we have to integrate this with the traffic. It has to be stopped.
Hi, my name is Dr. David Hollander. I live 9 Hill Place in Somerset, and I have to start off by stating I'm here as a private resident, although I do serve on the board of directors at Canal Walk. And I'll be very brief. I'm not as familiar with the issues as the speakers from Canal Walk. What I can tell you, and I've been on the board for about 7 months, since November, the overwhelming support of the Canal Walk for these people who have been advocating on behalf of all the residents of Canal Walk. They feel extremely strong about about the warehouse issue. And you ought to know it that the majority, and I believe a vast majority of the voters at Canal Walk support the Canal Walk residents who have spoke here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
Hi, Sudhir Shah, 74 Bryant Court. As earlier some of the speaker mentioned about this is a good first steps, but we need something more. And I'm looking more not from a short-term perspective, but 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, what's going to happen into this area. I just did some analysis. I may be wrong with the numbers. You guys have better numbers than I have. But what I looked at it, and specifically Ward 2, because 287 is passing through Ward 2, and that's where the major impact is. That Ward 2 BI zone is roughly 10 million square feet that we have. Out of 10 million square feet roughly, almost 2 million square feet are a vacant land, okay? There's nothing built on those land rather, okay? Potentially, those land can be used to build a warehouse, and there'll be an impact on those things. That's one impact. Second impact could be existing building may get sold to warehouse people, and they can build a warehouse over there. I have not seen any number, any analysis, nothing from the township, from a square footage perspective, or from this perspective. So I would like to see those things before you act on it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Seeing no one else coming forward, I ask for unanimous consent to close public session. Without objection, public session is closed. Do we have a motion to adopt? Do I have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make some comments, if I may, please.
Yes, sir.
So I first wanted to thank the study committee, the planning board, and Mr. Mark Healy for doing a great job of helping the council to work on this. And I also want to acknowledge and appreciate the many emails that I received asking us to support this ordinance. And they all stated that this ordinance represents a balance between the needs of the community and the realization that developers are going to be applying for warehouse. We all know that this is not the ideal based on all the comments that we've heard, but at least I think this is in the right direction to prevent some of the things that we've seen in the past. So I just want to make that comment, and again, thank the committee and planning board and all of you coming and speaking for or against this ordinance, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Anyone else?
Mayor, I would like to add to
Yes,
Deputy Mayor. Ward 2, right? This is where the issues are lying, and as the saying goes, perfect is the enemy of the good, right? My council colleagues and our staff have worked very hard to add additional guardrails to the amended ordinance that would limit warehouse development. I appreciate the time and effort and thought that has gone into improving this proposal. That said, I still have concerns regarding traffic impacts and public safety. For some residents, sharing the road with large commercial vehicles can feel intimidating and impact on their sense of comfort in the community, especially on Schoolhouse Road, where approximately 3,000 seniors call Canal Walk their home and another 1,000 at Summerfields. I also think about our families who use those roads every day to get to schools, grocery stores, medical appointments, work, and other activities. Data center not permitted use is a good proactive measure, and I thank our council and staff for being very proactive in adding that. Noise ordinance is something that's already been addressed in the noise ordinance. And I want to make sure that we understand that the master plan remains a work in progress that gives us an opportunity to continue brainstorming these ideas, evacuating data, exploring traffic, creating practical solutions that balance responsible development. So I appreciate everyone who has taken the time to share their thoughts and perspectives. The community input is an important part of this process. I've met with so many of you guys, and I look forward to continuing these discussions as we work towards a path for this town. So I wanted to make sure that I give this feedback, Mayor. Thank you.
Anyone else? My comments are simply, I believe the consultant spoke for me. If there's no one else, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
No.
Councilman Vasanella?
No.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, so it passes. We're on to item number 13B, an ordinance 4508-26, an ordinance amending the municipal code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 226, Vehicles and Traffic, Section 226-13, parking prohibited at all times in certain streets. Pine Grove Avenue is presented for the Township for the public hearing and final adoption for a hearing as required.
Jimmy.
The public hearing has been noticed as required. Whoever's last out, if they could close the doors, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Do we have a motion? I'm sorry, I ask unanimous consent for to open for public hearing. Without objection, we are open to public hearing on this item only. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I ask for unanimous consent to close the public hearing. Without objection, public hearing is closed. I'd like to, does anyone want to move the item?
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Francois, seconded by Councilman Embarrasson. Madam Clerk?
Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka? Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Ordinance on introduction and first reading. Ordinance 4509-26, the ordinance amending the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 112, Land Development, to implement various recommendations of the 2026 re-examination of the Township Master Plan and Development Regulations adopted by the Planning Board on February 2026. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, and publication in accordance with law, and a public hearing and final adoption at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on Tuesday, July 14th, 2026, at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Do I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? This is just to accept more of the master plan.
Housekeeping.
It really is.
Okay. With no discussion, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Embarrasson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Ordinance number 4510-26, an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 112, Land Development, to update planning and zoning fees and escrow deposits. The following ordinance is presented to Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting, and publication in accordance with law, and public hearing and final adoption at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on Tuesday, July 14th, 2026, at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Do we have a motion to introduce?
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question before we do, or after my question?
No, you would do that during discussion.
Okay.
So if we have a motion to
So moved.
introduce. Moved and seconded. So let me just introduce it a little bit. We haven't changed our fees for over a decade, and this is more commensurate with what other towns are charging. This is for things to get a permit, like to build your house, et cetera. Mr. Karazi.
That was the question I was going to ask. You answered it, Mr. Mayor. You answered it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
So additionally, this was reviewed by the Land Use Committee, and there was some discussion about our fees related to land use issues, and are our fees covering the costs associated with the review and issuance of those permits? And that is one of the considerations that was given when those permit fees, new permit fees were proposed.
So from what I understand, Manager, so we are allowed to collect fees that sufficiently cover our expenses.
Correct, and that's what this aims to do.
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Ordinance number 4511-26, the ordinance to acquire by purchase or condemnation certain lands within the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, for the purpose of What? Oh, I'm sorry. Ordinance 4511-26, an ordinance to acquire by purchase or commendation certain lands within the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, for the purposes of open space preservation in the Township of Franklin pursuant to NJSA 40A 12-13, subpart A, for the property known as Collins property, also known as Block 5.02A, Lot 70Q, and the commonly known as 4301 State Route 27, Princeton, New Jersey. The following ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption and first reading and posting and publication in accordance with law, with land and public hearing and final adoption at a meeting of the Township Council to be held on Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Do I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. So this is, as it says, purchase for land for open space. The word condemnation is used there. That's a term of art. There's no condemnation or
Taking by eminent domain?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
In question. Any other discussion?
One quick one. Everyone wants to know where their open space money goes. And this is it, because if we didn't do open space, we'd have a lot more homes here in Franklin Township.
Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh?
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine? Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Ordinance 4512-26, capital ordinance providing for the acquisition of property known as the Collins property, is located at block 5.02, lot 70Q, and also known as 4301 State Route 27 in the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. The township appropriating $426,721.40 therefrom the Open Space Trust Fund of the Township of Franklin to pay the costs thereof. The foregoing ordinance is presented to the Township Council for adoption on first reading, posting and publication in accordance with law and public hearing, and final adoption and meeting of the Township Council to be held on June 23rd, 2026 at 7 p.m. in the council chambers. Do I have a motion to introduce?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? This is the cash part of the deal. Seeing no discussion, Madam Clerk?
Councilman Barrison?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Karazi?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka?
Yes.
Councilman Singh? Councilwoman Udine? Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Right, we've already done the consent agenda resolutions. Item number 16, resolutions to be voted on separately. Items A through E is listed in the resolutions voted on separately portion of the meeting are presented to Township Council for adoption. Do we have a motion on these resolutions?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on these resolutions? Madam Clerk?
Councilman Barrison.
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois. Deputy Mayor Karazi.
Yes.
Mayor Kramer.
Yes.
Councilman Oni Jaka.
Yes.
Councilman Singh.
Yes.
Councilwoman Udine. Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Boards, committees, commissions, vacancies. Does anyone have a nomination? So I have a nomination for Historic Preservation Committee, the regular member seat for Philip Seggio. You may recognize the last name, Terry Seggio's husband. He is a architect in New York City. We have no architects on the Historic Preservation Board, and they need one, so I think he'd be a good fit. Any other nominations for that position? Any other nominations for any other position? We can do this by acclamation. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion is carried. Congratulations, Mr. Seggio. We have no executive session. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion is carried. We are adjourned. Be well, Frank.